Great. Okay, I'm ready. I think you can see my screen now, right?
Yes, we can see you.
Great. Okay, well, hello everybody. Welcome to the session. Can you believe it's session 3? I think it's going really, really fast. Today we're going to focus on class blocks. We have already talked about tutor blocks. We have talked about the settings, the privacy settings, how to make your blog look the way you want to. And today we're going to focus on class blocks and how they are used. And I'm going to contrast a few activities that you can see in class blocks and things that you can see in tutor blocks. So before we get started, as you know, I have been tuning my my zooming abilities. So I would like to see if here we are. I would like to see in the chat if you can type if you already have your blog. Type yes in the chat, and I will see you in the chat box. Let's see. I have received many invitations. I have visited all of them. Thank you for sending it. Okay, lots of people. Great. That sounds good. So as I mentioned in previous sessions, there is nothing that substitutes clicking around yourself. So it's very important that you have this chance to get into Blogger and start clicking everywhere and learning about the functions. And that's really how you learn about what a blog can do. In here, we're giving you the general support, right? So I have mentioned a few websites that you can also visit, a few blogs. So I am going to type that in the chat box right now, in case that you haven't visited them. There is a blog for this course where you can find information about blogging, and that one is blogging101richmond.blogspot.com. That's there. I also have a sample tutor blog, which is bloggingidea.clt.blogspot.com. Last week we had some issues because I changed the settings without being aware of it. I fixed it. And today we're going to explore a new one, which is the class blog richmond.blogspot.com. And in there, I have been posting sample activities that you can do in a class blog. Okay, Pedro is saying, could you write your Gmail? Yes, I will. It's richmond.academic@gmail.com. That's my Gmail account. In case that you would like to invite me to your blog, that's what you can use. Some of you have already sent me an invitation to your blogs. I have received it. Thank you very much. And there's my Gmail. So before we continue, we're having a little bit of a review to see if we are okay with all of the information we have received so far. As I mentioned, today we will be talking about class blogs, and in the next session, which will be the last, I am going to tell you where you can find more ideas, inspiration, how to share information, where to find things that can fit your blog. When you start the blog, it's usually easy because there are many ideas that you have and you are blogging all the time. But the more time you have a blog, the less ideas you get. So it's like planning a lesson. The very first lessons that we have, you usually have lots of ideas of games, activities, and tasks that you can do with your students. And as the course advances, you start running out of ideas. It's the same for blogs. So next session, I will tell you where to find more inspiration and ideas. So let's get started with the review. And I will be checking the chat box in case you want to share some of these answers with me, okay? So this is the very first part. Get ready with your chat box. Let me get ready with mine. Okay, so over there, Jessica is sending us greetings from Quito. Hi, Jessica. You know, I have never been to Ecuador. I think once we can travel, I would love to visit. I've heard great things about Ecuador. So let's see. This is the very first one. Is this a tutor or a class blog? Check it out. Look at who can publish, who are the readers. So is this a tutor? Let me know if this is a tutor blog or a class blog. Here I can see Luis Alfredo is saying this is a class blog. Julio is saying it's a tutor blog. Any more opinions? Tutor blog, class blog. We are in a tie. Okay, now we are on tied. Class blog. The correct answer is this is a class blog. How do we know it is a class blog? Don't forget that in a class blog, your students can publish the same way you can publish, right? So exactly, Luis Alfredo is saying everyone can post. That's true, it has different authors. So if you have many authors in a blog, we're talking about a class blog. Over there, they're asking me to send, oops, sorry. There. Over here, they're asking me to send my Gmail address again. Hold on. I am a little bit slow, but effective. Here we go. There it is again. Okay, now question number 2. Is this a tutor or a class blog? You can see there we have readers, there we have an author. So is this considered a class blog or a tutor blog? Okay, Ana Maria is the first one, and she says it's a tutor blog. Wendy, second tutor. Camilo, right. This is a tutor blog, right? So we were saying, oh, whoops, sorry about it. So we were saying that in a tutor blog, the one that controls everything is the teacher. You are the only person that can publish or post in your blog. No one else can, right? So let me go back and you will see the difference, right? So this is a tutor blog. Sorry, this is a class blog because we have many authors and these people can publish. And here we have a tutor blog because only the teacher can publish. Now, here's question number 3. Who can read this blog? Look at this. This is a tutor blog because only the teacher can publish. Who can read this blog? This is a tricky one. Okay, people with Gmails, everyone. Carmen has the right answer. No one. Why no one? I have no readers. So I have chosen to make this blog private, right? Only the readers in the list can read this blog. And I haven't invited any readers, so no one can read it except for the author, of course. So if you're not ready to publish your blog, I mean, you want to publish so you can see what it looks like, but you don't want anyone to read it. This would be a way in which you can keep it absolutely private. Only you, the author, would be able. If I wanted to have readers in my blog, I would invite my students, right? And remember that they must have a Gmail account, so they can actually enter your blog, okay? Pedro is saying that he made that mistake. Okay, you made it as a mistake. Okay, so actually, as you can see, there are many ways in which you can keep your blog private. So if I want my class to be the only ones who can read my blog, I would invite them. I would click on add readers and I would introduce their Gmail accounts so they get an invitation and they can read the blog, right? So this is question number 3. Here's the next one. Who can comment in this blog? So as you can see, we have who can comment. Someone has mentioned. We are moderating, etc. That's right. You're right. Only members of the blog. So if you have several authors and no readers, then only the authors will be able to comment, right? If you choose a collection or a group of readers and a collection of authors, a group of authors, only those people who would be members of the blog would be able to comment. So if you want to keep your blog super safe, the suggestion is that you choose a group of readers that will be the ones who have access to your blog, and also that you choose that only those people can comment. Now, I think that one of you mentioned on the previous session that if only the readers can see this, then no one else can comment because they can't read the blog, right? But if you want to make it extra super safe, you can include that only members of the blog can read. How about this? Is this setting safe for students? Look at it. It's related to the comments. Let's imagine that this is a public blog. Okay, so I didn't choose a group of readers. So anyone who finds the blog will be able to read it, and people are saying absolutely none. Not, right? Anyone can comment. That's right. So this setting wouldn't be a safe setting for my students because anyone can comment, including anonymous users. People who do not have Gmail accounts can comment. And besides that, I am not moderating. So if you choose that anyone can comment, at least you should choose that you want always to moderate your blog. When you moderate your blog, as I mentioned on previous sessions, you have to authorize the comments so they are public. So great, that was a great review. I think everyone has clear ideas on how this works. And today, we're going to focus on class blogs. So if you want to visit the tutor blog ideas, blogging ideas elt.blogspot.com is where you can go. And to check class blog ideas, you go to classblogrichmond.blogspot.com. So I already shared these in the chat box. Oh, come on. Sorry, I am playing with your minds, apparently, right? I have already shared this information with you. I am sharing it one more time in the chat box so you can copy and paste and it's easier to visit. And well, I am going to be visiting these blogs today so we can do some examples. So let's get started. And let's talk about what people can do in a tutor blog and in a class blog. So we were saying that in a tutor blog, you, the teacher, decides what contents will be published, only the teacher. It can be used with younger students. So if you are thinking about blogging, maybe you're working in a language center or in a primary school, or in general, you're working with younger learners and you would like to blog with them. The ideal thing is that you have a tutor blog where your students cannot publish, they can only consume the contents that you publish. Also, it can be used as a collection of reference resources. So for example, if you love sharing with your students extra websites where they can see grammar explanations or vocabulary databases or online dictionaries, you can actually have a blog where you post all the suggestions of extra reference resources they can check. And also, on the other side, as a class blog, what we have is that students must have a Gmail account in order to join a class blog. If you want to have specific readers, and oh, hold on, I think that I sent the message only to one person. There we go. Now everyone can see it. As I was saying, if you want to have a class blog where students can publish, they must have a Gmail account. Also, it's best with teenagers and adults because they can do more, they can produce more, and they can become portfolios where you display students' work. So what does this mean? If you are into writing a lot, for example, or maybe you are preparing your students for the certificate in advanced English or the proficiency or the first certificate in English, as you know, preparing for those tests means that you have to be practicing writing a lot. So if you would like to create a portfolio where your students display what they write, a class blog is a great way to do so. Now, what can my students do in a tutor blog? Well, in a tutor blog, remember, in a tutor blog is where you choose, you call the shots, you choose what gets published and what content is shared. In a tutor blog, your students can read texts that you share. I don't remember if it was last session, I think so. Jimena was saying that it's important you don't just copy and paste texts, it's important that you are aware about copyright. So if you want to share a text with students, the best thing to do is to share a link where they can visit the original text. So for example, if I want my students to read something from the New York Times, do not copy and paste the content from the New York Times in your blog, because then you could have problems there, but you can send them a link to visit the website in the New York Times. Also, well, as it goes together, you can share links in a tutor blog. Today, as an extra, I will show you how you can share worksheets in your blog that are hosted in your Google Drive. Also, your students can watch videos that you upload. My suggestion is that if you upload videos that you created, so you don't have problems with copyright. And if you don't want to create videos, you can also share videos from YouTube. As you know, Google and YouTube are in the same family, so Blogger and YouTube are connected. You can insert YouTube videos in your blogs without having to leave the blog. And today we will review all of this information. You can also share instructions, and your students can add comments, but they can only add text or links. So if you want your students to do something more complex, like adding pictures or uploading a video themselves, they must have a class blog so they can publish too. Okay, in the comments, you can only add text or maybe a link. So, for example, an idea on top of my mind is that you have a tutor blog where you ask your students to share something, and if they have their own blog, they can give you a link so you can visit their blogs, and that's how they participate as well. What can my students do in a class blog? Well, here's where it gets very rich. In a class blog, your students can do all the same things that your students can consume, right? So your students can create posts, which means that students can read texts that they share, or they can share texts, they can share links, they can upload videos they make or videos they like, they can upload instructions to do something, they can add comments as well. So in a class blog, you have all the benefits from a tutor blog, but the extra is that your students can post as well. So I think that's enough theory for now, and it's time for us to go into a class blog. So this is what it looks like to have a class blog. In a class blog, as you can see, there are several authors, and if you want to make it very safe, you can choose that the blog readers are only the members of the blog, which makes that only students who are authors can read the blog. That's a quick way to make it safe. If you want to keep it open, maybe if you're working in a university, in a language center, in a high school, and maybe you would like that other students from other classes have access to the blog, it's important that it's public, that your blog, it's public just like this one. And the suggestion is that you moderate the comments, so you keep it safe, right? But this is a way in which you can work with a class blog. And whenever you receive an invitation to participate in a blog as an author, this is what it looks like. So I don't know if I have already mentioned that I have multiple personalities when I'm blogging. So I invited myself to blog in my blog. And as you can see, I invited myself, this is my personal Gmail, to access classblog.richmond.blogspot.com, so I could be able to post, right? And, oh, well, I think it's due. I cannot do it anymore. So you have to check this part. I will show you in a second. You have to check how long the person will be able to publish in the blog, okay? So let's get practical, and I will show you the difference between having a tutor blog and having a class blog in a cooking post. So let me share the right screen. This could take a second. Now you should be able to see my, my browser, which is Google Chrome. So let me check the blog. So this is my tutor blog. My tutor blog is called Blogging Ideas for English Teachers, or bloggingideaselt.blogspot.com. And in here, I posted an activity where my students have to do this, right? So this is the post. It's called Chocolate Chip Pancakes. And it says, this week we learned how to follow and write a recipe. It's time to practice and have fun. Are you ready? Note down the ingredients and follow the recipe. So the activity your students are supposed to do is to make the chocolate chip pancakes at home. And in here you include the recipe, you included a video so your students can watch it, and they follow the recipe, right? So, and your students are supposed to comment if they followed the recipe, if they did this. This would be an activity that is quite friendly with young learners, right? So you could post this and they could follow the recipe at home, maybe a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, and they could all have chocolate chip pancakes. Look at the difference in the Blogging 101s, in the Blogging 101 class. So this one is called a cooking challenge, and it says, let's have a cooking challenge. Step 1, post in the comments a recipe to share with the class. Don't forget to include the ingredients and directions. Don't copy and paste. Why don't I want my students to copy and paste? So they have to type, they have to write. Step 2, cook at least one of the recipes your classmates shared. So it's very important that students share good recipes so the others can follow them. And then step 3 is the challenge. Create a new post and describe your cooking experience. Add a picture of your dish. Optional, include pictures of the cooking process. Don't forget to include the label cooking challenge. As I have mentioned before, it's very important that if you're using whether it's a tutor blog or a class blog, that you use labels or tags so your students are aware of what you're talking about. So in here, the label is cooking challenge, which means, let me show you, which means that if I enter the blog and I see all of these posts, I can go to the tags, click on the one that I'm looking for, and I will only see entries that match these criteria, right? The cooking challenge. So can you see the difference? As you can see in one example, the idea is that your students consume. They read, they listen to the video, they practice, etc., and maybe they comment something about the experience. But in the other one, they have to do much more, as you can see. They have to post a picture and write, so it's more complex. If you're looking for a blog to enhance your students' skills, if you want them to be writing more, if you want them to be creating videos and uploading them, having a class blog would be the best way to go. Let me check out the chat. And Jessica is sharing with us that she did an activity with her students where they prepared typical Ecuadorian food in groups of 3, and they made a video and supplementary activities. It was great. Cool. So they could actually upload those videos in a blog, for example, right? If you have a class blog, your students would be able to share these pictures or their experience or their video, and this way the experience becomes much nicer. Now, something important for you to know is that it really depends on how creative you become with this thing about the things your students can do. If they can create videos, if they can upload pictures, if they can write texts, etc., then it's your choice what you want to use this for. So for example, maybe you're having a cultural activity where you are researching about how people celebrate, let's say, Valentine's Day around the world, or in which countries they celebrate Valentine's Day around the world. If you want your students to present their findings, to share with others what they found, then a class blog would be a great way in which you can share all of this information. I also think that blogs are an amazing tool now that we are facing distant learning, right? So we're probably, I don't know how you work in the South, but here in Mexico, we are officially on holiday. We were supposed to finish our school year in July, but as you can see, everything went a little bit hectic, and they chose to finish the school year earlier. But in some schools, particularly private schools, they have decided to continue in contact with students online so they can continue practicing, and maybe when they come back to classes, they are not completely blank. So having a blog would be an amazing way in which your students can work. Now, be very careful. A blog does not substitute having a Zoom class, for example, having an online face-to-face lesson. But a blog is a great way in which you can share content with your students and extra information, right? So Pedro is saying that you are still working in Medellin, in Colombia. Here in Mexico, we're still working in universities mainly. But Educación Básica, what we call preschool, primary, secondary, and high school, they're all in a break now. And we're probably coming back to school online. So I think it's quite important for us to have something we can work online with our students, right? So I can see that Luis Alfredo is raising here his hand. Would you like to share something with us, Luis Alfredo? We can read you. I cannot read anything from Luis Alfredo. So,
Mag, I'm just going to remind everyone that they cannot unmute their mics. So they need to type in the chat box. Maybe Luis Alfredo is trying to unmute his mic. He won't be able to do it, but he can always write his thoughts in the chat box.
All right. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. He's saying that he cannot unmute it. He was trying. Could you share with us in the chat, Luis Alfredo, your idea, or is it too long and you would prefer to say it in the microphone?
Because I can unmute Luis Alfredo if it's too long and he'd rather say it. I have that power.
Jimena, the super powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
Zoom guru. So Luis Alfredo, would you like to share it in the chat, or should we unmute you? Okay, he has already typed. He says he's been checking many different platforms, and there are many ways we can manage the same type of activities that the blogs so do, reducing the amounts of steps. Well, yeah, there are many things. Actually, the Richmond Learning platform is really, really cool. The forum does many, many things. And the cool thing about the forum is that when your students comment, they can actually add pictures, and they can do like more interesting things. I will check where we have that recording, but we have a session on how to use the Richmond Learning Forum, the Richmond Learning Platforms Forum, as a blog, and I will share it with you so you can watch that session. But yes, that's true. There are some other platforms where you can blog. It's not only Blogger, and as I mentioned at the very beginning of this course, I chose Blogger because it's for free. It's Google, so it means it's very user-friendly, and I know Blogger way more than I know WordPress, for example, which is also a very popular tool. So let me come back to the presentation as soon as I find it in the to share stuff. Here it is. So, oh no, that's the preview for the next session. So let's stay here in the blog and let's explore it. Okay, I will explore the different activities that we have here. As I mentioned, the great thing about a blog, a class blog, is that your students can publish as well. Let me go to the backstage. Hold on. No. Okay, so this is, oh my God, I have so many blogs. Let me close this because I have so many blogs. I am getting lost. So here we are. No, we're not here. Oh, come on. Sorry. This is the problem of having multiple personalities and multiple accounts. You get confused from time to time. So here we are now. So this is the blog that I have created for, hold on. Here it is. So this is my class blog. This is the one that I have created for this course, so you can see what a class blog, what class blog activities or posts look like. Let's come to the settings and see. I have explained this many times. I have mentioned that there are two designs that you can use in Blogger. You have the new Blogger design and you have the old blogging design. This is the old blogging design. I like it more. But it works exactly the same. So as you can see in here, here are my blog authors, my blog readers, etc. This one is public, so you can read it as well. And something important here is that when I add an author, let me click here. When I add an author, I can invite them, right? I can invite or choose from my contacts from a Gmail account. And something important about having invited some people to share in our blog is that they can, they will be able to post themselves. Now, what does it look like when you have many authors? It looks like this in the old design. As you can see on the side, you can always see who the author is, right? So this one is me, and this one is my other self. And as you can see, here are my other collaborators. One of them is my husband, so it's also me, by the way. And you can actually check what your students are doing, right? So you don't have to enter the blog to see if they have already published. You can get into this administrator part and you can see if people have already posted, how many people have seen this. Let me go to the new design so you can see it in the different way. So this is with the new design. With the new design, you still have who the author is on the side and how many people have seen these posts, if it's got comments, etc. Right? So now let me show you what the blog looks like. This is the one, and I will come to the very first post that I have here. So here are the different things that you can do in a class blog. So this was the very first post. It was made by who would be the teacher, which is me. And it says, is there a popular viral video that cracks you up? Share it with the class. Don't forget to tell us why you like it. Use the tag viral video. Once you make your post, check out what your classmates post and comment on their videos. Here's an example. This video always cracks me up because it reminds me of how easily I get distracted. I frequently lose my pen and markers in class as a consequence. So in here, I'm sharing the viral video that cracks me up, and then students can comment. So I want my students to share a video, to write a short explanation of why they find this funny. And this is why I want my students to post themselves. Now, as you can see, the label is viral video, right? So I told them use the tag viral video. So what happens if, as a teacher, I would like to see all the responses to this? I can go very quickly to the labels and click on viral video. And this way, I will see all the people who have made a post with that tag. This is why tagging or labeling what you create is so important, because this way the information can get organized in a more effective way. Let me check the chat because I think we have two people who are, one person, Gloria. So Gloria is saying, I don't understand why can I work with my Gmail? Is necessary other Gmail? I don't understand your question, Gloria. What I have mentioned about having I have multiple Gmail accounts because I create sample things. And so you can really see what it looks like. It's important that someone else publishes, and that's why I have so many Gmail accounts. I suggested at the beginning that it's important you take into account if you want your students to have access to your personal Gmail account. If you have no problem with students having access to your personal Gmail account, then it's absolutely not necessary for you to create another one. But if you don't want them to have access to your personal Gmail account, it is advisable that you create like your teacher's persona in Gmail, right? But that was the only thing. I'm not sure if I am answering your question because of that. Well, I'll follow up a little bit later, Gloria. And maybe I replied, or maybe I didn't. But that's the only reason why you could create another Gmail account, because you don't want your students to have access to your personal one. Here's what people have posted, right? So this is another post that replies to this one. So this is how you can ask your students to create posts. So maybe when you are working in class, you can agree on things that people are going to publish, and then the assignment is made in class, whether it's an online class or a presential face-to-face class. But if you want to set up a task, you can do something like this. It's very important that you always tell your students how to tag it or how to label it, so later it's easy to find it, right? So here we have one. Here's Ain't Nobody Got Time for That, and this is the explanation of why this video cracks them up, and it's already got a comment, right? So we can read the comment. Lol, that's a very funny clip. What a catchy tune, right? And over here, we have someone else sharing Edgar's story. I don't know if you haven't seen this in Central and South America. This was a super popular video in Mexico. It's called Edgar Se Cae. If you haven't seen it, I absolutely recommend it. And well, it became viral in 2006. It's quite old. Edgar is a grown-up man nowadays. The good news is that he came out of that alive. Everyone's okay, right? And this one was posted by Mario, I think, right? And, oh, whoops, clicked on the wrong one. Sorry. What happened? Okay, here we are. So this is the one I wanted to click on, right? So in here you can see the label again, and you can read the story, right? And who created it. And over here, you have a comment. A suggestion, this is a personal suggestion. You should always comment in your students' posts. If you don't comment, you're not being you are not agreeing with yourself, okay? It's very important that whenever you ask your students to post something, you get online, you check it out, and you leave a comment so they know that you are reading. Here's another one, my favorite viral video. This one is also very funny. So if you get into this class blog, it's called classblogrichmond.blogspot.com. You will see these silly videos, and it is only an example of how you can work with your students in a blog, right? So in this one, the assignment was for your students to share a viral video that cracked them up. I also have the cooking challenge. No one has made a post regarding the cooking challenge yet. Hopefully we will have one in the future. And here's another one. This is a task that is quite bigger, right? I already showed you this, you will see. You might recognize the link. So this is museums and art galleries. So students are in class working with reviews, and the general topic is art galleries, museums, movies, etc. in general art. So your students have to read an article following this link, and then they have to create a post where they share which museum they like the most and why, and they have to visit the option that was the most interesting for them and write a brief review that has more or less 100 to 150 hours, and then they have to use this label. So if you follow this link, you go to The Guardian. We have seen this before. That's why I was telling you we already visited this. And hold on. And well, that's what your students are supposed to do. So maybe they like the Natural History Museum in London best. They visit the link that it's in here, and then they write a review in their post, right? So this is the way this works. And as you can see, activities can be as lighthearted as sharing a viral video that makes you laugh, or something more sophisticated and more academic like this, right? Here's another one, which is the verbs wrap. And in here, the teacher is saying that they have to watch this video and practice the verbs wrap. And then they have to record themselves wrapping the verbs. And they have to upload the video with the post verbs wrap, with the label verbs wrap. Okay, so this is a very different kind of activity where students have to respond with a post where they have created a video. So as the teacher who shared that students were preparing Ecuadorian recipes, a follow-up of that activity would be posting the video online and then everyone sharing what they did. I think that as you know, the objective of teaching a language is for students to communicate, and a blog actually allows people to really communicate. They have to read, they have to write. If you want to add some speaking to the matter, or maybe some pronunciation, there are ways in which they can upload videos, and that way it can work. Okay, here's another task I have. This is a writing assignment, and I included exactly as it was the activity from the book, right? So this comes from a book, a Richmond book. I think it's Achievers. And in here, instead of the teacher writing what they have to do, she posted a picture of what it looks like. So students are supposed to write a story, and they have to post a story themselves, right? So as you can see, a class blog is much more fun because students can do more things. Here's another example. Next session, we're going to be talking about how to transform activities from your textbook into something that can be blogged. And this is a good example of what will be done, right? But well, this is, for example, what a class blog looks like. And it's quite important, again, that you have a very clear idea of why you want to have a blog, why it is important for you, for your students to have a blog. So I am going to create an assignment so you can see what this looks like. And I am going to include sharing a file from my Google Drive. This might be quite useful for you. So this post has to do with Thanksgiving. So first of all, if you are not familiarized with Google Drive, if you have a Gmail account, by default, you have a Google Drive account. And a Google Drive account has a very good capacity. It's got 15 gigabytes of things that you can upload. So if you want to share with your students different things, this is a great way to go. The very first thing you have to do, well, if you want to access, let's go from scratch, okay? Here I am in Google. Get into the account that you want to use, which is this one. Okay, this is my Richmond Gmail account. And to access your Google Drive, you can click on this waffle and you click on Drive. And this way, it takes you to your Google Drive. Once you're in your Google Drive, the suggestion is that you create a file where you are going to share resources with your students. I created this one that it's called Blogging 101. And in here, I have uploaded some things. So I will share with my students a worksheet These worksheets are all, of course, Richmond. I took them from the course books. So here I included some vocabulary worksheets from Achievers, from Personal Best. So, for example, the first one that I'm going to do is related to Thanksgiving. So let me explain what I want my students to do. I am going to share this with my students, right? They are supposed to work in groups and look at the name of the celebrations and the photos and the type of things it is. But what I really want them to do is to read this information and match the words to their definitions. Then in pairs, they're going to discuss about a festival in their town. What I want my students to do is to share this information they are going to discuss as a post, right? But since we are in a distance learning situation, I cannot give them the handout physically. I cannot give them the piece of paper. So how can I share this with my students? Let me show you. The very first thing that you have to do is to get a link to share this resource. How do you do that? Well, you select the resource like this, and then you click on the Get a Shareable link, okay? And this way, I will have the chance to share this information with them. And in here, you can choose, right? Anyone with the link can enter, or if it's restricted, only people added can open this link. In this case, anyone that has this link can see it. I can even choose to edit or comment, but view is the safest way to go. Okay, and that's it. Something important is that you can also do this with the right click of your mouse. If you get on top of this, you can also get the shareable link. Same thing, okay? So you can do it in these both ways. So let's copy the link. It's done. And now I am going to create my post. So in order to create my post, remember this is the new design. You click here in the Create a New Post, and it's going to be called Festivals and Celebrations. So this book is a secondary school book. So this is more or less the idea I have in mind, teenagers. And in here, I am going to ask my students, download the worksheet from this link, and then I insert the link. Remember to insert the link here, you click on this one. It's the same family, so as you can see, the icons look the same. That's a good one. You have to create or edit an URL. I'm going to call it download. In here, you can call it whatever you want, and here you paste the link that you included, okay? You can also choose if your students are going to open this link in a new window, or if you want them to open the link right there. You can also test the link by clicking here to see if it works. Okay, so download the worksheet from this link. Get together, with your teammates. Let's imagine that we already gave them teammates, and follow the activities. Then create a post where you share information about a festival. Let me come back here and open the file. They are going to discuss about a festival in their town. And share information about the festival you discussed. And as I mentioned many times, don't forget to use, oh, this is very weird. My link disappeared. That's odd. Well, let's call it worksheet now. That was very weird, but here it is. So get together with your teammates and follow the activities, then create a post where you share information about the festival you discussed. Use the label or tag festivals. Okay, and let's create the tag so they can use it. Oops, sorry. There you go. And that's it. You're ready to publish this. So I want to confirm. And it's ready. So whenever my students get to see this post, if they click here, they will be taken to the worksheet that they can download, as you can see. Right, so this is the way in which you can share with your students some worksheets. Let me give you another example, just in case it wasn't very clear. Let's do it again. Now we're going to use a personal best activity. So this is a word list from personal best, and what students have to do. Well, this is like a reference activity, right? So in here, for example, they are learning about collocations, right? The difference between say, tell, speak, and talk. And over here, what I want my students to do is to check this information where they can see the reference on how this is done. It doesn't matter for me if they do the pronunciation or the translation, but I want them to write sample sentences. So that will be the assignment. The assignment is that they write sample sentences using this section, the say, tell, speak, and talk section. And then what they have to share with everybody are their sample sentences, okay? So now, I am going to do this in the class blog again, because what I want is that my students can publish this. But since this is a simple activity, it could be a tutor blog activity, because what they have to share is quite simple. Okay, so let's do it. Oh, forgot to follow my steps, right? So the very first thing that you have to do is to get your link of this worksheet. Remember that it can be done by clicking on the right button of your mouse, or by selecting and clicking on the link. And we are going to say this is anyone with the link can see it. I copy this link. And now I'm ready to create my post. I'm going to call it collocations practice. So the worksheet done, the link, the OK. So download the worksheet here, and then create a post where you share the sample sentences, create for the phrases using tell, say, speak, and talk, right? And then use the label. Let's call it, I'm very creative today, collocations. Okay, and then don't forget to create the label, collocations. Now, if you are a planning freak, if you like planning in advance these things, you can actually design your course. When you are designing your course at the beginning of the school year, you can go through the contents and make notes or make choices of which things are going to become tasks like this. And I don't remember in which session I mentioned this. I think it was the first one. But you can choose, like you can create all of these posts and leave them saved, and then choose a date and a time when they are published. So for example, maybe I'm preparing this collocations practice, but it's not going to be used soon. It's going to be used on the 30th of June. So I choose this, and I want this to be ready at 12 in the afternoon. And I choose this, and it's very important that you choose publish. It won't be published immediately because you have chosen a date, but when the date arrives, it will be published automatically. So this is a great way in which you can plan ahead many of the things that you want to share with your students. If you want to publish it right away, then as it is in automatic, just click here and that's it, right? And then your students can, I don't know why it wasn't published, but it's ready now. And then your students will see this, right? So download the worksheet here, they click here, and this is how this works. So as you can see, it's not that complicated. You just have to be practicing. You can do the same in the Richmond Learning Platform, as I mentioned previously, because you can share the contents you have there, and you can create a post in the forum, etc., etc. So it really doesn't matter what you use. If you are using Blogger, or if you prefer using WordPress, or if you're using the Richmond Learning Platform, it really doesn't matter as long as you know why you're doing it, how to design these things, the different possibilities, and then you have choices. Because if you only know how to use Blogger, or if you only know how to use the Richmond Learning Platform, or you only use WordPress, then you will have less options to work with your students. So this is the idea here. If you want to explore a little bit more this blog, the address is classblogrichmond.blogspot.com. I included in the chat box. And now I'm going back to the presentation. And I'm thinking, yes, I see that the chat is blinking. So Pedro is asking, can we share Richmond's material in a blog? Well, I would say yes, you're sharing it with your students. If you're going to create, if you were going to create like a public blog where you are going to earn money from it, I wouldn't suggest that you share the Richmond resources there. But if you are creating a blog for your class, only for your students, and you want to share some of the resources there for them, there is no problem. It's always a question of how you're using this, or why you're using these resources, right? So Luis Alfredo is asking, if you plan to use a blog for different classes or grades, what is the best or more efficient way to organize it? Well, I suggest that you create a blog per class. Let me go back to Blogger. Here I am back. If you're going to have different classes, my suggestion is that you don't have one blog for all of them. You should create a blog per class, as you can see here, right? For example, I have a blog that is called Blogging 101, one that is called Richmond Blogging 101, one that is called Meeting and Greeting New People from Other Countries. This one is actually not mine. One of you shared this with me. So this is a preparation course that we have here in Mexico, etc., etc. So here I have another one. So the idea is that you create a blog for every class you get. So if you have a new class, it's very simple. You just have to get into the control panel, and you go to the bottom and choose new blog, and you do the same process again, right? You choose the name for the blog, the address, etc., etc. That's my suggestion, that each class has their own blog. And when the class finishes, you can erase the blog and create a new one. So that's the beauty of having a free resource like Blogger, that you can create these blogs and erase them, right? Jose Espinosa is saying, if I create a blog for each class, is there a way I can manage all these blogs centrally? No, there is no way to manage all the blogs in one section. You have to open each blog to get into the control panel. So for example, if I want to get into the control panel of this blog, I have to get here, right? So yes, that's, we would call in Mexico, esa es la talacha, right? That's like the heavy work that you have to do. So for people wanting to learn this word, the word is talacha. So talacha means in Mexican Spanish, heavy work. So that you have to do. I'm sorry, I cannot get you out of that one.
I'll give you the synonym in Colombia, cacharrearle.
There you go. So you cacharrearle, you said?
Yeah, le cacharreas. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the cacharreo or talacha, right? So let me, well, this is sorry, this is for today. Let me publish this now. So this is the after session, which is ready now to read. If you want to read information about today's session, I just published this. And these are the notes of what we learned today. Let me go back to my presentation. And well, this is the most important information that you can get so far in a simple way on a class blog and how it works. Hopefully you find that useful and interesting. And next session, which is our last session, I can't believe that we're done. Next session, which is session 4, I'm going to share with you where to find more ideas to create more posts, how to transform coursebook activities into blog posts. I was very lazy with the activities that I showed you today, and I just took the screenshot from my digital book and posted it as a picture. But you can actually type in the activity so you don't get into any problem of copyright. And we will be talking about how to use your blog for follow-up activities after you finish a class, or to prepare your students for the class, or as flipped classroom activities. So that's what we're doing on session 4. As I mentioned, you can always reach me in my email. And my email is academic services coordinator. No, that's my position. It's mtiburcio@richmonddlt.com. Those are the websites that you can visit. Now, the watch the recording part applies only to Mexico. This was my old courses. Sorry about that. Let me correct that part so you don't get confused about it. It's not that it's forbidden, it's just that it's a different course, the one that you would find there, okay? So let me share it one more time. If I ever find the right button, hold on. I was doing so well so far, right? But here's my Zoom abilities kicking in again. Here we are. That's the right slide. So my email is mtiburcio@richmonddlt.com, and you can visit the Blogging 101 richmondblogspot.com blog. That's the blog where you can find information about blogging. The blogging ideas clt.blogspot.com is the one where you can find tutor blog ideas, and the class blog Richmond is the new one where you will be able to find this sample class blog ideas and activities. So let me take a look at the chat once more. Okay, great. So I hope this information has been useful and clear. And if you have questions during the week, you can send me an email, or you can write comments in the blog, in the class, in the Blogging 101 richmond.blogspot.com blog, where you can add the comments in case you have any questions. So thank you very much for joining session 3. See you next week for our last session. I can't believe it. We're done. And see you next week. Have fun this week. Let's get blogging, and see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.